Module 4 in the course, IT820, is going to be, I think, kind of a fun one. This one we're going to actually start to look at some of the course tools that you're likely to encounter. And remember that we're kind of leading up toward the culminating activity, which is to design your own e-learning experience using one of the common tools. So this is going to provide some overview of some of those, some of the technology and media that's used. We're going to look a little bit about gamification and how mobile devices are also used in the context of e-learning activities. A list of the activities which we're going to cover. A little bit of the lecture part of this. One of these articles was something that I actually wrote a few years ago, Instructional Design for Mobile Learning. Probably worth a good read. 7 tips for designing for mobile applications for education, universal design principles for mobile learning. Then there's some readings on creating online experiences, some tool reviews, 7 game-based learning golden rules. Then there's some optional readings. One of these I think I drew from my instructional design class. So if you took ID from me, you may see some overlap with some of those. This is also an open educational resource, so there's no cost in accessing it. This is a good article on the pros and cons of using Articulate Rise. Rise is one of the products in the Articulate suite. Super, super easy to use. A lot of my students in the corporate e-learning, which they take in the summer, have taken that particular course. And then there's a game-based learning guide. Some videos, as usual, to watch. This is a good overview from, this is actually developed by iSpring, so you have to sort of take this with a grain of salt because they're going to promote that particular product. But she also covers 8 other tools, which are free, completely free to use. Some of them I cover and some of them I don't, but it's worth taking a look at that. This is a really good overview of the learning management system market. So whereas this is going to be the e-learning product suite, this is going to be more of the LMS. If you end up in education of any sort, you're going to be using a learning management system. If you end up in corporate, chances are you're going to be using you may use an LMS as a hosting product, but you're probably going to be doing all your design development in something like Articulate. The reason why LMSs are so popular in education is because there's just too many courses, too many faculty, too many students, all happening at the same time. The ratio is way too many to be designing custom one-off courses for education like you can in the corporate space. So because you can design a course, a compliance course in corporate, and that can be shared across the entire corporate environment. So in other words, you can share it with all the main company and all of its branch locations, that sort of thing. Doesn't quite work that way in education, so LMSs are typically what are used more often than not. But this is a good overview. Phil Hill is a really well-known person in this space. It's worth listening to that. This is a list of the authoring tools. I covered this a little bit in the overview, but I'm going to take a look at this. I give just a little bit of an overview of what the core tool does. Oftentimes I just took it right from their website, so it's got some of their marketing language in it. So take it with a grain of salt. But there's the trial and then the cost per year. And these are kind of expensive products. These are not inexpensive products, to be sure. The Articulate, the $549 seems like a bargain, but that's the academic pricing. The typical price is probably 3 times that amount. It's a very expensive product. It's not something you buy typically unless you're doing freelance. It's often a corporation will pay for that for you, but it really does help to get fluent with these products because you're going to need to know how to use them. Again, Articulate is the most prominent product in this space. And as I share jobs with you each week, I scrape jobs. I may have mentioned that earlier. I scrape jobs and send them to you each week, and they list all of the skill sets. In 9 times out of 10, they're going to be listing Articulate Storyline, number 1. Captivate and Camtasia kind of come in a distant second. But Storyline clearly is the front runner beyond all these others. But if you don't want to experiment with that, there's some others. Is Easy is a good product to play with. It's a British product, free for one user to use. Let's see here. Some have 14-day, 30-day, 30-day. This one, this Chameleon Creator, I wasn't familiar with that until just recently, and they're pretty stingy. 7-day trial. I don't give you much of a break on that, and it's really expensive, so they must be pretty proud of it. Talent is free for basic. Adapt is free. Course Lab is free. H5P is free. Adaptive U is free. ThingLink has a 30-day trial. And the cost is really reasonable, $60 a year. It's kind of an educational product. So take a look at that. I'll tab on gamification as well. The conversation I'm actually having you, again, I may have mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to have you go into play around with ChatGTP, which is a new search engine, new chatbot, which is it's going to probably rival the search engines eventually, but you create a free account and you kind of play around with it. Very powerful tool. It is going to change the face of education. It's going to change the face of learning designers and what you do, because you can actually have this product actually develop learning events for you. So you can type in some conditions, and this tool will actually build the learning event for you with everything, with the objectives and everything. It does the whole thing. It's pretty amazing, actually. So you're going to need to learn to adapt to this product because it's going to become part of your new normal. So there's a little exercise on that. And then a compare and contrast of those corporate e-learning authoring tools using a tool of your choice. So you can use whatever product you want to be able to express that comparison. So I'm going to leave that up to you. A matrix or grid of some sort would be great, but you can use Canva or PowerPoint deck, whatever. So anyway, that's this module 4.